If you haven't been paying attention to Age of Empires 2 lately, then you missed out on one of the craziest ELO runs in the game's history. A famous streamer managed to go from never playing the game to 1500 ELO in the short span of just 2 months. His name is Atrioc, and he wore a helmet the entire time. Atrioc's 2-month-long career started in June of 2025 and ended in early August of the same year, where he managed to play just under 400 games and finish his run at a record ELO of 1502. If you aren't familiar with the ELO system, 1500 ELO will put you at top 4000 of the ranked ladder. With all players having to start at 1000 ELO, the most common experience is to actually drop down in your first 2 months, and you're actually forced to crawl your way up from 700 or 800 ELO. It's very rare for people to skyrocket from 1000 straight to 1500, and extremely rare to do it in such a short period of time. In fact, many people have played AoE2 for years and years, and still haven't been able to crack 1500, despite having it as their main goal. I guess the number just looks nice, it's everybody's goal for some reason. At 34 years old, Atrioc was considered a young talent in the AoE2 scene, and many speculated if he could be the next S tier winner, the rising star that finally shakes up the major tournaments and adds some spice to the scene. So what makes Atrioc special? How did he manage to just do everybody's goal in 2 months and leave like it never even happened? Did he come from a gaming background? Has he played other games competitively and is simply transferring his skills over to AoE2? Well, I think he mentioned something about StarCraft, but for the sake of the video, the answer is no. He is a React streamer, most known for looking at graphs and explaining why they go up or down, or talking about stocks and explaining how you should always buy high and sell low. Something like that. Well then, okay, maybe he's just a natural talent with the special ability of besting his opponents in one-on-one combat. That's why he chose the 1v1 ladder after all. While there may be some truth to that, the reality is Atrioc has a 100% win rate playing team games from the pocket position. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it as well. Absolutely insane hidden potential that the world is yet to see. But we are still left without an explanation for his rapid rise on the 1v1 ladder, and we can only speculate what could have happened if he chose the team game ladder instead. Luckily, I've analyzed his entire career and will share with you his strategy and the organized nature of his ELO climb in hopes that future generations of AoE2 gamers can benefit and learn from the greats. It's time to flip the script and react to Atrioc's incredible ranked ladder grind. The first part of Atrioc's success was not in developing a strategy and not in trying to gain ELO as quickly as possible. His first few games were just spent trying things out, having a good time, and learning the basics and the essentials of Age of Empires 2, not having any ambitions, not putting any goals for himself, and just simply having a good time. That's what gaming's all about at the end of the day, and if you're not having fun, you're not winning. And so Atrioc, understanding the winning mentality, focused on having fun to start off his career, and he made several videos and several streams just playing the game and enjoying all the different things that AoE2 has to offer. And things only really started to get serious once he stumbled upon his favorite civilization, the Vikings. That's when he really turned it up a notch, and he just completely went into a different gear. Once he latched onto the Vikings, he started playing authentic Nordic music from the same time period of the Vikings in Age of Empires 2 on stream to hype himself up as well as the viewers and give his opponents simply no chance to beat him in a one-on-one combat. Now, the reason why it's best to stick to just one civilization is not just because you get to play the civilization you enjoy every single time, but it also makes the learning curve a lot easier. And this is something that I always recommend to new players. Yes, it has a stigma. Picking Civ does have this kind of negative connotation to it, but I say ignore the haters and focus on your own improvement. And playing one Civ allows you to master that civilization instead of focusing on what different options you have with 50 of the different civilizations that are out there, and there's so many infinite combinations of your Civ versus the opponent's Civ. You can just play one civilization, narrow down a lot of the factors, and so now there's only 50 potential matchups that you can face. There's your Civ against one of the 50 other civilizations that your opponent can pick. And so that way you can really narrow down the possibilities of what you'll face on the ranked ladder, and so you can focus your efforts on improving your game within that civilization instead of focusing your energy on just figuring out what to do and just a basic game plan with things you're unfamiliar with. Think about it, if you went random Civ every time, you'd have a 1 out of 50 chance to get your civilization, and then your opponent would also have a 1 out of 50 chance to get his civilization, and because we don't have any agency over our opponent's civilization, it's basically always going to be random. And so doing the math, we can see that that's 50 times 50, which puts us at 2,500 different possibilities out of that particular game. So by going random and our opponent also having a virtually random civ, we now have 2,500 possibilities that we have to practice and prepare for, and that is simply impossible for a person that's actually learning the game. Even for me, who's been playing for years and years, I still get into matchups that I find tricky or matchups that I've never played before, and I'm just not sure what to go for. By picking one civ, we narrowed that down to 50, which is a huge improvement and makes the learning curve a lot easier. In the case of the Vikings, Atrioc was able to quickly figure out that it's an infantry-based civ that has a strong backbone in the archer line as well. And he also used his very strong economy via free wheelbarrow and free handcart to overpower his opponents, either with a fast aim timing and get to Arbalest, or to develop his economy very rapidly, expand his base, and overwhelm his opponent using strong late game infantry like the champions of the berserks. And I think his favorite comp in the end ended up being the champions plus skirm, and using all of those really strong units to dive the opponents and prevent them from actually playing the game. Champions were his front line and skirmishers were his support unit in order to prevent the champion from dying to its strongest counter, which is a backline archer like DPS unit. And so the champion skirm combo ended up being something that Atrioc relied on game after game. He went in there with the Vikings very comfortable with what his civ had to offer, knowing that in the late game he can always rely on this composition, and he didn't need to really come up with very many different ideas. This made his improvement as a player much better. His mechanics, his overall game sense, and his macro all got way better now that he didn't have to think about strategy as much as he just had to think about executing it. And this kind of repetition with sticking to one civ has immediate payback. Take a look at Atrioc's stats. He clearly figured out a winning strategy against the Burgundians and the Koreans, netting a 100% win rate out of 5 games against both of these civilizations. You understand what this means? This means that when Atrioc queues up, he always has the Vikings. If his opponents are unlucky enough to click the Burgundians or the Koreans, they lose 100% of the time. The game does not even have to be played out. Atrioc's got the winning strategy, and he's going to make it happen 100% of the time. Now that is a graph that looks amazing. Unfortunately though, he couldn't beat the Sicilians, and awkwardly enough, he has a 0% win rate against that civ, and he has now retired without ever beating them once. The awkward part is Sicilians are a D tier civ, but I guess it just might be a bad matchup for the Vikings. But of course, Atrioc only had that one civ that he couldn't figure out, the Sicilians. All the other 49 civs he's beaten at least once, and he's got them completely figured out. The next thing that Atrioc did besides attempting to master the Vikings is actually watching pro player videos to learn from the best and cut down on the trial and error process. When it comes to figuring things out in life and in gaming, and specifically with Age of Empires 2, you could try out a bunch of different things yourself and then learn from your mistakes, see what works well for you, learn from it, adapt it, try it again, try different things. But this is very time consuming, and when you're not starting out from a base of knowledge, of learning from someone else, you end up just guessing at the wrong things. And if you start off guessing at something that's already been figured out, you're essentially wasting a lot of your time that you could be spending on just becoming a better player and having better micro. So by investing his time half into playing the game and half into watching pro players playing the game, he was able to learn from the pros in theory what should be done and what the game should look like, and then practice it in his own games and try to make his gameplay match what he's been learning in theory. This really hastens the learning process and makes it a lot easier to actually learn how to play the game and not get stuck at dead ends where you're just trying things that don't work and you don't even know why they don't work, and you ask other people and they don't know why you don't know why that they don't work, and it just ends the confusion cycle. You check what the pro's doing, you copy most of it, and then you add your own spice to your own game. You add a little bit of what works for you, maybe tweak it a little bit to make it a little easier, and then you just roll with that, and then focus your energy, as we said earlier, on just getting better at the actual game, which is realistically the factor that determines whether you will climb or not. Another important factor to Atrioc's climb to the top of the ladder was that he sought out additional resources, not just watching pro players, but actually asking the right questions to the right people and getting his questions answered so he can learn at an even faster pace. He sought out things like my Patreon.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
I bet you didn't think I'm going to go the whole video without mentioning the Patreon. You bet I'm going to mention that Patreon. He sought out the Patreon and he vouched for it himself. If you don't believe me, you can ask him.
If you guys watched today and you thought, I want to play some Age of Empires 2, it's really fun, I cannot lie. The best way to learn this game is to go to Hera's YouTube channel or Patreon, honestly. He has the best guides. I'm not kidding. It makes it so much easier.
And he even reached out for some live coaching so I can see how he's playing in real time and give him the best and most effective tips so he can improve quickly and break any bad habits that he might have picked up by just playing the game. I have one more play if you want to try it. Ask your
Okay.
opponent to resign nicely, please. Ask him nicely.
I'm doing a coaching session with Hera,
Good.
and he really needs this to be a win. I know. It's pretty desperate, huh? Well, it would be awesome if you could give me the W. GG. Let's go! Another win in the books!
This is the recipe to not being hard stuck. Asking questions, getting some additional information, maybe getting someone to look at your gameplay so you can cut out the bad habits, implement some better habits, and get a better trajectory to actually improving so that you don't just get stuck making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Now, I'm not saying you all should take it to the step that Atrioc took it, because Atrioc took it pretty damn far, and the Viking thing really consumed him. So much so that he paid me to play 10 games of Vikings on stream in a row and send him the rec so he can learn directly from my Vikings games. That is absolutely insane, and I don't think many people are willing to go to that length. But maybe that's what did it for him, because after that 10-game session of me playing Vikings, which I went 9-1 by the way, and I lost the last game, which I'm still mad about. Anyway, it's a story for another time. Atrioc was able to actually turbo his improvement from something like 1350 all the way to 1500 shortly after. It might have had something to do with him taking a 3 or 4 day break as well to clear the mentals, because he was on a downward trend, took a little break, and then went on an upward trend that he just broke from 1400 to 1500 in one day. Nobody even saw him coming. While having an organized strategy like this does help, and all the resources that Atrioc had available to him was a nice plus to his organized strategy, ultimately his rank grind would have been a complete failure if he was a stubborn player. A stubborn player that doesn't actively learn from his mistakes. There's two types of players that play ranked. There's one that loses a game and thinks to himself, why did I lose? What could I do better? What went wrong? And try to fix that so it doesn't happen again. And then there's the other player that blames something else. The lag, the teammates, the sun in his eye, the internet connection, and then just brainlessly queues to the next game without even a second thought as to what he could have done better. Those two types of players are completely different. One of them gets hard stuck, the guy who's making the excuses, and the one who's learning from his mistakes will quickly fix all those mistakes and start climbing elo again and getting more success on the rank ladder. And Atrioc just so happens to be in the actively learning from his own mistakes category. So much so that he'd really get frustrated with himself when he made the same mistake twice, and he really tried to push those mistakes out of his system to prevent him from getting hard stuck and losing to the same thing over and over again. It can be really difficult to learn from your mistakes, especially when you don't know what mistakes you're making, but sometimes just watching your game back makes all these mistakes really apparent. When we're playing the game, especially an RTS game like Age of Empires 2, there's so much going on, so you basically just miss the entire game while you're playing it. Watching it back from a different perspective lets you see what really went on and what you were focusing on in different times of the game, and chances are you'll be able to spot a lot more of your mistakes. And the last factor to Atrioc's ranked success is the fact that he had a good amount of time to play the game. Remember, Atrioc is a React streamer, so for those of the working class, this basically translates to him being unemployed. This means that he was able to play AoE2 sessions for 3 to 4 hours a day, learn something from what he played, sleep on it, wake up the next day, watch some theory of pro players, playing the same civilization as him, and then get right back into it playing some more games. This is not really a possibility for majority of people, fair enough, but I will say that implementing some of the strategies and some of the organized approaches that Atrioc took to the game can really help you guys out in improving at a quicker pace and prevent yourselves from getting hard stuck, which is ultimately what's going to be the biggest time sink. Even if you just have 5 hours a week to play Age of Empires 2 and it's a hobby that you play on the side and you'd like to get better, I think you can still make it to 1500 with those 5 hours a week if you approach it in a smart way and in a calculated way, similar to what Atrioc was up to. Overall, it was a really impressive run to see some guy go from never playing Age of Empires 2 to getting hooked to it and climbing the rank ladder from 0 to 1500, putting him at the top 4000 of ranked players in the world in just 2 months. It really is an impressive rise to the top, and it's one of those things that sounds like it would be easy to replicate until you give it a shot yourselves. And my takeaway from this whole story is just how good of a game Age of Empires 2 really is. Atrioc was telling me at some points that he just absolutely loved playing it, and he would be borderline addicted to playing the game, and he'd just be wanting to just jump right back into playing ranked after his session ended, and he can't wait till the next day starts so he can play some ranked games. Overall, I have to say that Atrioc's run from 1000 elo on a brand new account to 1500 within the span of 2 months was very impressive, and it's really not something that I've seen replicated by many other people. So it definitely was a fantastic ranked grind and something I respect. Not gonna lie though, I was doubting him the whole time. I thought he'd cap around 1300 or 1400, but seeing him get to 1500, listen, it's just one of those times where I'm happy to be proven wrong. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you guys want to see some of the content that me and Atrioc made, definitely check out some of the videos that he made on his channel, as well as the coaching video that I made on my channel, where we just had a good time, enjoyed some Age of Empires, and helped him clean up some of his bad habits and helped him achieve his elo goals. If you guys want more content from me, check me out on Twitch for the live streams and on Patreon for the exclusive guides and content, so you guys can start your ranked journeys today. And as always, hope you guys have a good rest of your day, good rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.